This is the fourth reading in our series. My name's Barry Singer, and I put these chairs out in the hall for you. We've had a very wonderful series thus far. For any new first-timers among you, the point here is to promote new fiction. This is a series that we devised to promote new fiction. And the way it works is we select a book every month or so, a new novel or a new short story collection, and we pair it with a guest reader. And you then come out, hopefully, and we read to you, and we show you why we think this book deserves your attention. To date, we've had some terrific evenings with Elizabeth McGovern, who opened the series reading from In Country, which was a first novel by the New Yorker short story writer Bobby Ann Mason. We then heard Judd Nelson reading from Waking the Dead by Scott Spencer, a new novel by Scott Spencer. And just before the summer, we heard Caitlin Clark reading from Tama Janowitz's notorious first collection of short stories, Slaves of New York, which wasn't so notorious when we read it here, but a couple of days later, New York Magazine picked it up, and there it was. Tonight we turn to Drunk with Love, a new collection of stories by Ellen Gilchrist, an American Book Award winner. And before we do, there are a couple of acknowledgments that I've been meaning to make ever since the series began each evening, and somehow the euphoria of the moment has carried me away, and I've forgotten to single these people out, and it's very important to me that I do so. Meredith Nemiroff, who should be here tonight, although I didn't see her when I came back here, but Meredith is a wonderful young artist who has created an original artwork for each book that we've showcased here. And we've used her art pieces as the focal point for our windows for each book, and it sort of contributes to the occasion that we're trying to create surrounding each book. Her newest work is about Drunk with Love, and it is in the window of the store, and I hope you'll take the time to look at it after the reading is over. But Meredith has an extraordinary ability to capture visually the essence of these books. She's actually a wonderful reader as well as a wonderful artist, and I just wanted to thank her now, Meredith Nemiroff, for your contribution to first readings. Secondly, I wanted to thank the casting agency of Simon & Cumin, particularly Meg Simon, whose generous and enthusiastic support of what we're trying to do here really has made the whole series possible. Suffice it to say, without Meg Simon's cooperation and her encouragement, and also Fran Cumin, her partner's help, we simply wouldn't have a series, and I think that you can figure out why. Drunk with Love, though, is the subject at hand, and I'd like to focus on that now. Our readers this evening are two very special, a very special actor and a very special actress. David Allen Grier will be reading with Brooke Adams tonight. David was a Tony Award nominee for his role as Jackie Robinson in the musical based on Jackie Robinson's life, The First. He also appeared in Dreamgirls. He also appeared in Soldier's Story, which is, I think, called A Soldier's Tale when it was off-Broadway at the Negro Ensemble. And he then appeared in the movie version of Soldier's Story and also in the movie version of Streamers. Brooke Adams, who's reading with David tonight, is probably known to you for her film work, for her theater work, for her television work. She's a wonderful actress. She appeared at the WPA Theater in Key Exchange for a nice long run, and then did the film of Key Exchange, which was delightful. I hope you got to see it. She was in Split, Michael Weller's Split at Second Stage. She may be best known to you for her extraordinary acting in Days of Heaven with Sam Shepard and Richard Gere. Unfortunately, Ellen Gilchrist cannot be with us this evening. We really try to have the authors with us for these readings because the author is the focus of the evening, as far as we're concerned, in her work. Ellen lives in Mississippi. She doesn't travel very much, and she has a new granddaughter. She simply wouldn't come to New York. But she sent us words of encouragement. She was very excited at the prospect of what we were trying to do here, and I'm sorry she's not here. But in her stead, we have a great booster of hers, a great supporter, and in fact, her publisher in many respects, the the Quality Paperback Book Club published two of her books, two of her earlier works, and will be publishing Drunk with Love. And the director, Marty Asher, is here now to introduce the book to you. Marty?
Thank you. I first discovered Ellen Gilchrist one morning while switching stations on the radio. Her deliberate southern drawl as she described her reasons for moving from Fayetteville, Arkansas back to Jackson, Mississippi, stopped me in my tracks. It was public radio, and I never did get to find out what the weather was going to be that day. The sound of the voice intrigued me enough to seek out the writer. I don't know what I was expecting, but the joy of Ellen Gilchrist's words is that whatever you're expecting, you're going to be surprised. The first Ellen Gilchrist story I read began with a third-grade student talking about how a 14-year-old boy got rabies shots for a squirrel bite and ended with the dropping of the atomic bomb in Hiroshima. That was as good a preparation as any. In Ellen Gilchrist's world, small incidents have large ramifications, and large events are examined to their minutest influences. Reading Ellen Gilchrist is a little like getting into a bathtub full of very hot water. It's a shock to the system. The eccentricities of the characters, their brutal honesty, most often not directed towards themselves, their penchant for excessive amounts of alcohol and mood elevators, and their disastrous attempts at love appear strange at first, but then start to seem quite normal. And just as the air after a hot bath feels inordinately cool, our normal world seems a bit pale and subdued in the aftermath of time spent in the company of such characters as Nora Jane Whittington, Crystal Weiss, and the ever-popular Rhoda. Drunk with Love, Ellen Gilchrist's latest collection, ends with a story about a writer having an unhappy love affair. At one point, Anna, the heroine, remarks, there is a way to organize this knowledge, to understand what happened, this love affair, this very last love affair. In a minute, I will get out of this bed and begin to understand what happened. I will pick up the telephone and call Arthur, and then I will begin to write the stories, and they will tell me what is going on. Those of you familiar with Ellen Gilchrist's stories already know. The rest of you are about to find out, in no uncertain terms, exactly what is going on.
"1941. Rhoda was sitting on the front sidewalk trying to set some paper on fire with a magnifying glass. She was very worried at that time about what she would do if she was lost in the woods. It would be she and Dudley alone in the woods. Dudley would have the compass, but he would not tell her what it said. He would sneak off while she was sleeping and leave her there to rot. She would not panic. She would not wander deeper into the woods. She would stay where she was until help came. She would find water. She would build a fire. But how to do it? Striking rocks on flint didn't work. How many times had she tried that? Rubbing sticks together didn't work. No, the best thing to do was carry a magnifying glass at all times. Rhoda trained the glass on an ant crossing the sidewalk. There were clouds in the sky. That was lucky for the ant.
Get your things on,
Dudley said, coming around the corner of the house, accompanied by his friend Fat Tunny. Fat Tunny hung back. Dudley squatted down by Rhoda. He was wearing his jodhpurs and his English riding hat. His leather riding crop was in his hand. You would never have believed he lived in Mound City, Illinois.
Come on.
He said.
Get dressed. Pop wants us to catch the horses. Fat Tunny's here. He'll help.
I don't want to catch the damned old horses, Rhoda said. She trained the magnifying glass on Dudley's boots, thinking how nice it would be to give him a hot foot. I'm busy. Leave me alone.
Come on. He wants us to saddle Dixie so you can go riding with this girl that's coming over. She's the banker's daughter.
I don't want to go riding. You catch the goddamned old horses if you want to, since you're his slave. I'm not going back there and getting that goddamn old mud. Fat Tunny hung his head. He had never known a girl that talked like Rhoda. He had never known any people like the Mannings. They had been there 6 months. He didn't know what he did before they moved to Mound City. Every morning he woke up thinking about them and pulled on his clothes and went over to see what they were doing.
That's right, Rhoda.
He said now.
Your daddy said to tell you to hurry up.
Well, I'm not going to, she said. And get off the sidewalk. I'm killing ants.
You better come on.
Dudley said. He stood up. He was wearing his bandolier and his extra merit badges. He was going for Eagle Scout. He was trying to be the youngest Eagle Scout in America.
Get dressed.
He said.
Don't make me tell you again.
Rhoda trained the magnifying glass on his leg. Go to hell, you spy, she said. Go back to Germany where you belong. You aren't even a citizen. You're a yellow German spy. You're really a Jap. That's why your skin's so yellow. She was referring to Dudley's malaria. He had malaria from living in a levee camp when he was small. The Mannings had lived a dangerous life. Everything happened to them, but they always recovered. They had too much character to give in to fate. Go back to Germany, Rhoda continued. Go salute the Fuhrer. Go salute the Fuhrer's bathroom. She cracked up at that, beating her sandals against the sidewalk. Go to the German bathroom. Go to the bathroom with the Japs. She was laughing so hard it hurt. Fat Tunny was laughing too, but he was trying not to let it show. Dudley and Fat Tunny disappeared around the side of the house. Rhoda got up and followed them. At the back of the property was a corral surrounded by barbed wire fence. Little scalps of horsehair were stuck here and there in the barbs, little bloody pieces of Dixie and Cardinal and straw, the last two named for the colors of Rhoda's mother's sorority. As Rhoda came up, the horses were milling around the water tank, bumping each other's flanks, slurping water, making noises. Rhoda didn't trust them. They were different from horses in books, good, faithful creatures like Black Beauty or beautiful white stallions running across the plains carrying the mail. These were quarter horses, and their only purpose in life was to teach Rhoda and Dudley not to be afraid.
Get your jodhpurs on, honey.
Her father said. He was sitting on the gate.
Mr. Trumbo is bringing his little girl over here to ride.
I can't, she said. I'm menstruating.
Oh, my God.
He said, and climbed down off the fence, hoping to get to her before she said it again and the boys heard it.
Ariane.
He screamed toward the house.
Ariane, get out here and get this child. Who told you that?
He demanded, taking her by the arm.
Who told you a thing like that?
His face was as red as the sun. Rhoda's mother came running out of the house and across the yard and swooped her up.
Where does she learn those things?
He was saying.
Who told her that? Who told her such a thing?
Sherry Nettleship's aunt told us all about it, Rhoda said. You can't ever go swimming, and blood runs down your legs. And you can't ride horses or anything like that. I've been doing it all morning. There's blood all over the sidewalk. Go look for yourself. It was an inspiration. Actually, Rhoda had spilled red Kool-Aid while she was making fire. That was what had drawn the ants. You can die if you aren't careful, she continued. Anything can happen when you menstruate. Rhoda's mother took her into the house and put her in the bathtub. She knelt beside the tub, looking down at Rhoda's plump, apricot-colored legs, her little precious vagina, her soft, round stomach, her navel, where this maddening child had actually been joined to her own body. She dripped water from her hands over Rhoda's legs. She touched her hair. She allowed her hand to rest on Rhoda's skull. Ariane Manning loved her children so much it took her breath away to touch them. A little girl, a precious, sweet baby girl. Her little girl, her daughter. Don't ever talk about things like that again, she said. We don't talk about things like that. It's a long, long time before that will happen to you. When the time comes, I will tell you what to do. It's a long way off, a lot of years. Can't believe Mrs. Nettleship told you a thing like that. I just can't believe it. She was drunk, Rhoda said. She was drinking bathtub gin. She told us everything about it. She told me and Sherry everything there is to know. Oh, my God, Ariane said. I can't believe it. I just can't believe we're in this town. Oh, my God. I just don't know. I just don't know where to start. She took her daughter from the tub and dried her with a blue towel and dressed her in jodhpurs and a white blouse and a little checked vest. She held the boots while Rhoda wiggled her feet into them. She brushed Rhoda's hair. She dotted her neck with perfume, stuck a handkerchief in her pocket. She stopped crying. She got a hold on herself. When Rhoda got back to the corral, the horses were saddled. Dudley and Fat Tunny were just saddling the last one, a large black and white mare named Dixie. They were tightening up the cinches. Dixie was fighting them, puffing up her belly, kicking, carrying on. She is the worst horse we have, Rhoda thought. I bet he's going to make me ride her.
Get on Dixie, sister.
Her father called out from his command position astride the post.
Let the boys have the geldings.
She doesn't have any gaits, Rhoda said. I can't stand to ride a horse that doesn't have gaits.
Oh, you wouldn't know what to do with gaits.
Dudley said.
You can hardly even ride. Shut up all that arguing.
Her father said.
Now give her a leg up, Fat Tunny. Look out. Here's our company coming in the back.
Rhoda swung herself up into the saddle. A languid, droopy-looking girl on an Appaloosa was turning into the yard from the road behind the place. Rhoda looked her over. She didn't look like much. She was barely even holding the reins as the horse came plodding over. Still, she was a banker's daughter. She might have a playhouse or a chauffeur or anything. "Hello," Rhoda said as soon as the girl was near enough to hear. "I'm Rhoda." "Well, I'm Lelia," the girl said. "I'm supposed to show you where to go."
This is Mr. Trumbo's daughter.
Her father said.
It's been so nice to me. Now you girls go on and have a ride, and when you get back, I'll take us out for ice cream. Use your knees, sister. Sweet sister. Now don't forget to use your knees.
"I can't feel anything through this saddle. This saddle's too thick."
Don't complain about everything. Go on then. And you girls get going before it gets too hot.
He climbed down off the fence and took the bridles and led the horses down the path and turned them in the direction of the road.
Ride them now.
He said.
Show them who's the boss. Let's see you ride.
Lilia's Appaloosa began to trot along the path, a nice, clean, neat little trot. Rhoda dug her knees into the saddle. She straightened her back. She had a vision of herself riding through the town, her hair flying back from the face, the eyes of the town following her, worshiping and jealous. She dug her heels into Dixie's side. She pulled on the reins. The horse balked. Rhoda tried again. This time she jerked Dixie's head from side to side, slapping the reins against her neck. "Get going," she said. "Come on, you goddamn old horse." Dixie lowered her head, then rose up on her hind feet and spun in a circle. She hit the ground, then took off for the road. Rhoda clung to the reins, then clung to the mane. The horse jumped a ditch. The saddle moved, then moved again. Rhoda's head was on a level with Dixie's thighs. Her eyes were on the road. Dixie turned and began to run along the railroad tracks. A man ran out of a house and tried to flag them down.
Let go!
He yelled.
Let go! Let go and fall!
Her head hit the tracks, then hit again. There was grass and steel and sky. Then there were faces. Her father was there and Mr. Samuels, and they put her into a car and she was going somewhere. For a long time she was going somewhere. Her grandmother seemed to be in the car, opening a suitcase, getting out presents. Her beautiful tall grandfather was there wearing a gray suit. He was holding her head in his hands. His great blue eyes were sad. He took her into his old wicker rocking chair. He read to her from magazines. He let her smoke his pipe. He gave her money, many quarters and nickels and dimes. As soon as the store opened, she could put them in the slot machine. The slot machine was in the car. It was a Buick with a slot machine. She and her grandmother and grandfather would ride forever, sticking money in the slot machine. Nickels poured out onto the seat. They had so many nickels they didn't know what to do with all of them. They threw them out of the window so the poor people could have some nickels and play their own slot machines. The poor people caught the nickels. They held them up to the light. When Rhoda woke up, she was in her own bed, and her mother was sitting beside her, and Dr. Finley was there, and her name was in the newspaper.
Rhoda Catherine Manning, only daughter of Chief Engineer Manning of the U.S. Corps of Engineers, is recovering from a fall she received when the horse she was riding ran away. She received cuts and bruises and is recovering at the Manning home on Maple Street.
"I'm going to kill that horse," she said, opening her eyes, lifting her head from the pillow. "Your father already beat it half to death," her mother said. She sighed and looked away. "You made me do it," she said, seeing him standing in the door. "You made me ride it. And Dudley put the saddle on. He did it wrong. He didn't put the saddle on right." Dudley was standing at the foot of the bed, looking thin and yellow. "You did it," she said. "You tried to kill me." "Don't talk like that, Rhoda," her mother said. "It was an accident. It wasn't anybody's fault." "It was his fault," she said, sitting up higher. "He and Fat Tunny, they did it." The saddle came off. That's why I fell. You did it, she said, looking right at him. You did it on purpose. You tried to kill me so you can inherit everything.
Come on, son.
Her father said. He put his arm around his son and led him from the room.
Let your mother take care of her.
He did it, she yelled after them. I almost died. It's a wonder I'm not dead. Let me get you some supper, her mother said. Everyone in town's been bringing food. There's quail with a glass cover and a chocolate custard and everything you love. I dreamed about Dan Dan, Rhoda said. She sank back into the pillows, allowing her mother to hold her hands. I dreamed Dan Dan and Big Daddy and I were going to sleep in those concrete wigwams where we stayed that other time. Did you tell them yet? Do they know I almost died? They're on their way, her mother said. They ought to be here soon. Good, Rhoda said. I'll get them to kill the horse. Adoration. It was Christmas in Atlanta, and Rhoda was sick every day. She was so sick she could hardly go to work. She would get better, then get worse. It couldn't have happened at a more inconvenient time because she had just been promoted to the shopping service at J.P. Allen's department store. She ran up and down the stairs in a red dress, buying things for people to give to other people. She ran up and down and talked on the phone to rich ladies about their shopping problems. She was 19 years old and she had been married 6 months and she was putting her husband through school. She made $400 a month and his parents gave him $400 more, and her father gave her anything she asked him for. She had made love to a boy one night after a fraternity party. The next week they ran away and got married. A month later she was living in a garage apartment in Atlanta putting him through school. Sex had been a big surprise to Rhoda. She had felt its mighty hand.
What are you doing this for?
Her friend Daniel, who was an artist, had stopped by the store to take her out to lunch.
Why did you quit school?
I had to. I have to put him through college.
You're crazy, throwing yourself away.
Of course I'm crazy, darling, aren't we all? She laughed, a wonderful, sophisticated laugh. It was Rhoda's main affectation when she was 19 to say darling as many times as possible every day. Her other obsession was learning to dress like the sales ladies at J.P. Allen's, especially a slim, dark woman with a bun who wore black leather heels trimmed in brass. Rhoda made $400 a month and she charged about $600 a month to the store, and her father was still coming out ahead. Then she got sick and it all stopped. She couldn't believe this terrible sickness, this bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. She couldn't be pregnant because she almost always wore the diaphragm. She lay in the bed in the garage apartment and bled and bled and bled. Her young husband sat on the edge of the bed and worried. He thought he had wounded her. He was scared to death of Rhoda's terrible blood. He wished he had never run off and married her, no matter how much money her father had. It was terrible. She was a terrible cook, and she followed him around all the time, and now all she did was bleed.
Let me call my Aunt Lillian. You'd better go to a doctor, Rhoda. You better find out what's wrong.
I can't get up. Tell the doctor to come over here.
They don't come out in Atlanta. Let me call my aunt.
All right, call her then. Rhoda lay back on the pillows. The room was dark, shrouded by the bamboo blinds she had installed in all the windows. The room was a mess. Clothes were scattered everywhere. She was bleeding to death in a messy room.
You've got an appointment this afternoon. They said to bring you in.
I can't get up.
Yes, you can. I'll help you.
Then he pulled her to the side of the bed and handed her some clothes, and she put them on. Then he picked her up and carried her across the room and down the stairs and out the door. At least he's strong, Rhoda told herself. At least I had enough sense to marry someone strong. They drove downtown and parked in a parking lot and went into a building and up an elevator, and the nurse met them at the door and took them inside and put her on a table. I'm bleeding all the time, Rhoda said. I've been bleeding for days. We know, the nurse said. She put her hand on Rhoda's arm and Rhoda went to sleep. Maybe she went to sleep. She never could remember what happened next or when they told her. It always seemed she heard the news from deep within a dream. When she woke up, she was in the back seat of the car. Her husband was driving her to Alabama to her mother. What are we doing, she said. Where are we going? What's going on?
We're going to Decatur. You're going to have a baby. Rhoda, please lie down.
Oh my God, I don't believe it. Oh, I hope it's a boy. I want a boy. She fell into a dream. She was on Finney Island by the water. Her little boy was with her. He held onto her hand. She would teach him to swim. He would swim the English Channel. He would dive from cliffs and be a hero to end all heroes. She woke up because blood was running down her legs again, over her skirt, her legs, the car. "You have to stop and buy me some Kotex," she said. "I have to have some new pajamas. I can't show up at Mama's like this." They stopped at a store in a small town on the Alabama line, and she went in and bought clean clothes and a pair of blue silk pajamas and a robe. A musty-smelling lady in a bun helped her back into the car. She lay down on the seat holding her packages, and when she woke again, she was in the hospital, and they were all around her, her mother and her father and her husband and Dr. Grier, her own doctor who was kin to her. "Am I going to have a baby?" she asked.
I don't know. We'll wait and see.
"Am I or not? I want to know."
I'm not sure if you still have it. In the morning, we'll know.
They gave her a shot, and she slept some more. She slept for 18 hours. In the morning, they bathed her and brought her food, and Dr. Grier was alone with her. His snow-white head was beside her bed. His hand was on her hands.
I think we'll have to go on and get rid of this one, Rhoda. There'll be plenty more.
Good, Rhoda thought. I didn't want to have a baby anyway. Then she began to cry. Terrible tears. Dr. Grier patted her hand and said,
"This too shall pass away."
"I like it," she said. "I want it. I like it inside of me."
All right.
He said.
We'll wait another day.
A nurse appeared and gave her another shot, and she went back to sleep, back into the dream of the island and the water and the boy. The boy was floating away. "Come back," she screamed. She tore out into the water, swimming her best Australian crawl. He drifted farther and farther away. "Come back," Rhoda called, with her mouth half full of water. "Come back! I want you! Come back to me!" He floated on his back, so beautiful, so perfect, so new. He would not drag her down and drown her. He was her little boy. Her father appeared on the pier.
Catch 'em, goddammit! Sister, swim! Show 'em what you're made of.
A group of ladies were around her father, in their dresses and their heels and their perfume. They loved him, and he loved them. He talked to them and listened when they spoke. He never pushed them away, was never cold to them. It was dark when Rhoda woke again. She thought she must have been asleep for hours. Everything was very dreamy in the room. The white curtains swayed on their stems. The silver utensils gleamed on the enamel table. A nurse with her hat awry was by her side. A needle was in her arm. Dr. Grier was so close she could smell his shaving cream.
How are we doing?
He said, "I don't know, you tell me."
I think it's all right, Rhoda. I think you'll keep the baby.
"Are you sure?"
Not yet.
"Well, make up your mind. You tell me one thing and then you tell me another. Where's my husband?"
He's here. He wants to see you.
Her husband was in the doorway. He looked very handsome in his suit. He looked very sure of himself, like a grown man, tall and brave and wide. He took her hands. He kissed her very gently.
I hope it's true.
He said, "It will be a boy," Rhoda said. "I wouldn't have anything else." They moved to the new apartment in January. Rhoda threw the last box on the bedroom floor and sank down on the bed. Her husband came into the room. The baby was asleep in his crib. He was 2 months old. He was perfect. He was so beautiful they looked at him all day. They looked at him so much they almost forgot to argue. They liked him so much they were almost happy. "Don't do that," Rhoda said. "I'm out of jelly."
Well, we won't do anything. We'll just put it in.
"No."
Come on.
"Okay."
Let's make another one. They come out so nice. I want some more.
"You're crazy."
Please.
"Okay."
You're an angel.
"You are too." It was an ecstatic pregnancy. Rhoda lived on diet pills and potato chips and gin. She lived on vegetable soup and cornbread and Cokes and gin. She went to the doctor every 2 weeks because he was the best-looking man in Atlanta. She went down one day in July and had the baby because it was coming too soon. They cut her open and took him out and sewed her back up, and later that night she wrote her father a long letter. Some days later, he wrote her back and sent her some money. Her mother came and stayed and took care of her and got her a new maid and bought her some books to read. It was a good month to have a baby. There was a new book by Ernest Hemingway on the shelves, Across the River and Into the Trees. It was a wonderful book about the excitement and romance of love in Venice between a young countess and an old army colonel who was about to die. Thank God for books, Rhoda was thinking, since nothing ever happens around here. It was dark in the house, a dark house at the end of a curved street on a hill in Kansas City, Kansas. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, and it was Rhoda's birthday. She had been 26 years old for 2 drunken hours, and she woke up in the dark and felt for her husband and began to laugh at something they had done at a bar. Drunk, drunk, drunk. They had been drunk since 6 o'clock the night before, and they hadn't even had a fight yet. Make love to me, she said. I mean it. Do it now.
Go put on your diaphragm.
Oh, I don't want to. Use a rubber.
Oh, shit, that's no good.
Oh, it'll do. She reached in a drawer beside the bed and got one out that had been there for ages. They began to giggle, laughing and making love because it felt good and was fun. In a while, it became apparent that the rubber was not doing a bit of good.
Go take a douche.
Oh, shit, I'm too tired to move.
Go on.
All right. She climbed out of bed and went into the bathroom and turned on the light and stood against the door frame, giggling some more. She was wearing a white silk nightgown with blue embroidery on the top, and she was making a baby right that very minute, and she knew it, and she didn't give a damn because it was her birthday, and she thought it was funny. He would be a laughing baby who would love music and have 1,000 freckles. I might as well go on and have him and get it over with, Rhoda decided. I might as well go on and get him here. She put her head against the door frame and saw his face smiling up at her, and she thought it was just as funny as it could be, and she adored it. And she sat down on the floor and laughed some more.
What are you laughing at?
The father of Rhoda's baby said to her,
What's all that goddamn laughing?
It's just funny, that's all. It's hilarious.
Are you going to take a douche?
No, it's too much trouble.
Then get back into bed.
I will in a minute.
We're going to have to stop drinking so much. We have to save some money.
I know, I think we should. I'm going to start tomorrow. She climbed back into bed and cuddled up in her husband's arms. This one will be the swimmer, she decided. This is the one who will swim the channel for me.
The Last Diet. On the 24th day of August, 1985, Jean Ann Laurie Mayfield, third child and only daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Johnny Wayne Mayfield of Fayetteville, Arkansas, ended her last and final diet by running her navy blue Toyota sedan into a donut shop. She could have swerved the other way and hit the emergency entrance of the Washington County General Hospital, but no, she plowed into the front window of Daytime Donuts, number 3, killing a waitress, an overweight professor of English at the university, and herself. Goodbye, Jean Ann Laurie. We will miss you. Goodbye, Aurora Gilbreth. We will miss you too. Goodbye, Professor Bright. Wasn't it you that always used to say, when you're hungry, eat. When you're sleepy, sleep. Pass the cornbread. Once when she was younger, Professor Bright had been married to a redhead graduate student who had borne him a son, a thin red-headed boy named Teddy, who loved books and had spent his life up to the time of the crash at Daytime Donuts reading anything he could get his hands on. He was reading a book when the phone rang to tell him of the tragedy. He closed the book, laid it on a table, and hurried to the hospital to identify the body. The worst thing of all for Teddy Bright was that he knew everyone involved. He knew his father and had lived down the street from him. He knew Aurora Gilbreth and had purchased donuts from her many a morning on his way to work. He knew Jean Ann Laurie and had been in the room with her many times at restaurants around town or at Kinko's copy place where she worked. Teddy even knew where Jean Ann Laurie lived. She lived across the street from the park in a small white house facing a castle built by a local sculptor with a National Endowment grant. It was a castle made of concrete and stone, of rocks and mussel shells, of old earrings and clay tiles with strange runes engraved on them. The castle was used as an example of how grant money is wasted on useless projects. But no one tore it down, and never a day went by that there wasn't a meeting between lovers or a picnic or a birthday party taking place on its turrets and battlements and towers. Jean and Laurie's house faced the castle, and Teddy had delivered many a pizza to her door during the years when he was working his way through college. It would be a combination deep dish or an international or a Madrid. Now here was Teddy, standing in Jean and Laurie's yard, trying to believe his father was dead. He hung his head. It could not be true. His father stretched out on an undertaker's table. Jean and Laurie dead and to blame. There was her house, being sat in by her friends. He went inside and was confronted and given a glass of tea.
Would you like to see her room?
Her friend Stella said.
She left everything in perfect order.
Teddy was led back through a narrow hall to Jean and Laurie's room. A spotless white rug was on the floor. A white coverlet with puffs of pink cotton was on the bed. Pillows with pink and white shams. 5 Care Bears lined up on the pillows. Share Bear, Cheer Bear, Friend Bear, Good Luck Bear, Brave Heart Bear. A white enamel table held Jean and Laurie's Bible and her diary and a vase of artificial flowers. Teddy picked up the Bible.
I'll leave you here to meditate,
Stella said. As soon as she was gone, Teddy put the Bible down and picked up the diary and put it into his pocket. Then he walked back down the hall, told Stella goodbye, and went across the street to the castle and up a path to a turret room that looked out on the baseball diamond. He opened the book and began to read. A Diet Journal by J.L. Mayfield, age 38.
I begin this diet as no other diet. This time I will win. This time I will not be tempted by anything to stop short of my goal. It took a long time to gain this weight. It is going to take a long time to lose it. Now, get up, weigh yourself. Go on, I gained it, now I must pay. Later, 148, oh my God.
April 2nd, 1985.
5 glasses of water, all vitamins, some lettuce and egg white, some diet rice cakes, 3 or 4, I can't remember exactly. 1 chicken breast. No, I will not eat another bite all day. I will lie down and imagine myself very, very, very thin. I'm wearing a soft white dress and leaning on somebody's arm. He is going to take me to a show, I think. I will drink 1 Diet Coke. That is absolutely all.
April 3.
Today is the day I will have to really think straight and everything. My body is resisting being hungry. The body is not on your side in anything, sex or diet. I must always keep that first in my mind above all other things and defeat it with my mind. The mind is stronger than the body if it wants to be.
April 4th.
I will not get mad, down, or mad at myself if I slip and eat 1 cookie or even a milkshake in a moment of weakness. I will never see my waist again unless I start right now. I will be in a sea of fat. It will surround my natural beauty like a lake, so there is nothing to do now but charge ahead. Think of all that fat around my heart and liver if I should ever have to get an operation. Of course, so far I have been in perfect health all my life, but you never can tell. Yes, I think I am on my way to a body any woman could be proud of. Yes, this time I will win at a losing game. Later, I have had a strange spell of weakness. It was the first time I ever felt weak in my life. I could not get up off the floor. I called the weight engineers and they said not to worry, it is only my body wanting some food. I will drink some more water and lay on the floor and wait it out.
June 18th.
Dear Diet Diary, I have not been writing in you because I have been in the hospital. I drained all the potassium out of my body and had an electrolyte imbalance. I am sorry that it happened, as it was a major diet setback and I have gained back all the weight I had lost on that wonderful week of starvation. And now I have had to start all over again. The weight engineers said that not to get excited about it, that doctors always want to blame things on women starving themselves when that wasn't it at all. It was the heat and the long sun baths I was taking to give myself something to do while I was starving. I have to go back to work tomorrow, so it will not be easy to diet properly at the store, but I will make it one way or the other.
June 19th.
First, I have to get out all my clothes and lay them on the bed and pick out something beautiful I want to wear on the 1st of September. By the 1st of September, I will be a size 8 or die. That is absolutely that. I have had it with being the size of a house. I want a new boyfriend and a good social life, and I will never get it until I conquer the layers of fat that have come like a terrible parasite to nest on my rib cage and my hips and my arms. I must be very clear about my goals now. 1, my goal is to be a size 8 by September 1. 2, my immediate goal is to be a size 12 by the 1st of August. This means I have to be a person who can live on 700 calories a day and not complain. I must think of a lot of interesting things to do around town and not forget to let my friends help me. They may be secretly jealous when they see my rib cage and slim hips emerging from the mountain of fat cells that hold them captive. Let them be jealous. That's their problem.
Teddy sighed. It was too sad. The world was just too much to bear. He lay his head against the tiles in the turret wall. Heavenly music began to play. Heavenly music coming for to carry him home. He looked up. It was the ice cream truck turning the corner by the swimming pool. A red and white striped truck with the carousel on top. The horses on the carousel were freshly painted. They whirled around and around as the truck moved down the hill, playing Strauss waltzes to a Gallipoli beat.
Calliope.
Thank you, darling. To a Calliope beat. The children left the bridge and ran to the corner to watch it go by. Teddy went back to Jean Ann Laurie's diary. August 15th.
I have just purchased a set of doctor's scales. They take up half my bathroom. I dreamed of them last night. I'm not sleeping very well without food, but it's all right. When I wake up, I walk around the house and think about how good I'm going to look. It won't be long now. 20 more days of hunger and it'll all be over. Later. Some headaches this afternoon. Nothing special. Took some aspirin and a Tylenol I borrowed from Angela Jameson. You have to put up with a few inconveniences. Also, foot getting numb when I sit in one position for more than a few minutes. Nothing to worry about.
August 16th.
I bought a diet placement at the health food store. It has 33 different diets and 6 fasts. It is great. Just reading it makes me know it is possible to get thin if I want to enough and don't get sidetracked and think I have to be thin to get a boyfriend. The point of getting thin is for my own self-esteem and to love myself, my own self, and so forth. It is the wrong approach to a diet to think that at the end you will have some wonderful boyfriend who will change the world. Monique, my weight counselor, says that is the thing that makes everyone gain back weight after they struggled so hard to lose it. They get thin, then nothing happens in the romance department, so they give up and go back to eating. That will not happen to me because I know about it beforehand. The placemat cost $4.98 and is copyrighted, so you can't tell the diets to anyone without permission. There is one that gives you 6 animal crackers for a reward every night. That goes along with something Monique was telling me. She said the body will not live without pleasure. So you have to be very good to yourself while you're starving and having other pleasures, like making your yard beautiful or getting a new shower curtain or talking to your friends.
August 17th.
I'm nearing my goal. Yesterday, my arm got numb again while I was cleaning out a closet. I think I might be catching something. I keep having this light get in my eye. I don't want to say anything about it because they might make me stop the diet. I need the diet. The diet is the best thing that ever happened to me. Before I went on the diet, I didn't know who I was. I didn't have a sense of purpose. I just got up in the morning and went to work and came home. I could not plan a future for myself. Well, nothing will stop me now. The people at Weight Engineers have made me Dieter of the Month. I'm going to have my picture in their newsletter and maybe in the National Weight Engineers magazine. It is a good thing I am keeping this diary. I think there will come a time when it will be a very important document. Well, that's about all for now. I have to eat lunch and then go get weighed in. Oh yes, every day as I turn off the highway to go to the weight engineer's office, I have to pass right by the donut shop. It is wonderful to see fat people going in to get their sugar and caffeine fix when I know I am on my way to clearer goals and better thinking.
August 19th.
I've had a setback caused by listening to the radio. There was this woman from Georgia, and she said she and her friends had started a club called Board of the Fat, and every time one of them decided to go on a diet or spend money on diet camps or diet food or anything like that, they called a meeting and sat down with a box of cookies and some Haagen-Dazs ice cream and reminded each other of how beautiful the world is and how much fun it is to eat things. They shouldn't put things like that on the air. I went right down to the grocery store and pigged out. It was all that woman's fault. I'm going to write to the station. Now I must call Monique and get back in control. I will get in control. I will be in control.
August 20th.
What next? I shouldn't even write this down. But I saw Josephine Weathers today, and she looked like hell. She has been going to diet jail, as we call weight engineers for a joke, for 4 months now. And at first, she looked real good. But now, she looks like a person who went to Dachau or something. I was shocked when I ran into her. All the way home, I kept thinking I might be thin enough already and not know it. I weigh 128, the least I've ever weighed except when I had pneumonia. I don't know what to think or do sometimes. All the way home, I kept thinking about how thin and gaunt her face looked. What if I looked like that and no one tells me? I wouldn't have told her for anything. Imagine me walking up to her and saying, "Josephine, you look terrible." Exercise, that's the key. Maybe I should start running again. But all it does is make me hungrier and hungrier. I know it's muscle weight, but it still depresses me to see it on those damn old scales. Maybe I should throw the scales away. Oh no, never say that. They are only science. Remember, Monique said they are only the measurements of what are we attempting to do. Oh God, I'll always be fat. I can't defeat it. I don't know what to do. Later, I am in control. I went to Weight Engineers and talked to Monique, and she said it was just a temporary setback and to forget the milkshake I drank last night and the cheese and crackers and think about the future when I will be a size 8 and ready for romance. I don't know where that's going to be, in Fayetteville. Maybe there's somewhere to go in Rogers.
August 21st.
I have failed again. Last night, I ate 2 lean cuisines and a half a pound of Weight Engineers rye thins. I gained another pound. Now I am back up to 129, and only 2 days ago I was 127. I was 2 pounds from my goal, and I messed it up by being weak. I remind myself of my mother. That is what she would do when she was mad. Just eat another bag of potato chips and give some to me. Not to mention ice cream cones. There's no hope for me. I have tried everything but having my intestines shortened by surgery. I need to get my mind on something beside myself. There must be something to cheer me up. Wait a minute. This is my weight diary. No place to feel sorry for myself. I must get a hold of myself. Drink 8 glasses of water and some lemon juice and parsley. I will get this under control if it's the last thing I ever do in my life.
August 23rd.
I have started a fast. For 14 hours, I have not had a thing to eat but water and 4 ounces of orange juice. I will write in this book every hour until I weigh 125, where I really want to be. 12 o'clock, water. 1 o'clock, water. 1:35, going to bed. 3:15, can't sleep. 4 o'clock, took one of the Demerols I saved when Mama was sick. 9:40, good sleep. Drank 2 8-ounce glasses of water. 12 o'clock, 4 ounces of orange juice. I'm feeling weak, but that's to be expected the first day. We'll meditate. 8 o'clock, walked 5 miles, drank water, swam 18 laps, drank 4 ounces of orange juice. 10 o'clock, going to bed. 11:35, can't sleep. 3 o'clock, still can't sleep. Have cleaned the whole house. We'll take the other Demerol.
August 24th, 6 o'clock a.m.
I am into a wonderful state of fast now. I am very clear. I remember when I took that class in Zen Buddhist scriptures from Dr. Bright at the university, and he told us about the states the enlightened men would go into from not eating sometimes for days. I think I might be getting into one of those. I feel like something real important is happening to me. Like I'm in the middle of real important events. It is like falling in love. Or when my niece, Lori Louise, was born and I rode around all night on my bicycle because Sally and Jimmy had named her for me. I think I should be a painter and paint all the glorious things I've been seeing on my fast. There is one small problem. I have a headache, but took 2 aspirin and also my right arm got numb, but it is fine now. Also, I could not see to read. The brain is a funny thing, and we'll have to adjust to this new state of affairs. 1:25, here I come. Idea. As soon as the stores open, I will go out to the mall and look at all the beautiful clothes I will be buying as soon as I am at goal. I called Monique, and she said to come by and let her monitor me, since fasting is not a regular part of Weight Engineer's diets, and she's only letting me do it because I am frantic. Well, sayonara for now.
The rest of the pages were blank. Teddy closed the book. The children had come to the moat below the turret and were fishing for crawdads. A boy came running out from inside the dungeon. He had a huge crawdad between the thumb and index finger of his right hand, and he was holding it out toward a little blonde girl. She began to scream, a wonderful, blood-curdling scream. The boy laughed and withdrew the crawdad. The girl screamed some more. A van pulled into the parking lot and unloaded a Little League baseball team. Music was playing in the background. The ice cream truck was circling back around. Teddy took 2 $1 bills out of his pocket, laid them on the bench beside the moat. "Here's some money," he said. "Go over there and get some ice cream when I'm gone. It's all right. I'm only putting this here because I'm sad." The children backed off. "It's all right to take the money when I'm gone," he added. He left the money on the bench and walked back across the street in the direction of Jean and Laurie's house. "I have to decide what to do about everything now," he was thinking. "I have to make decisions." He looked around. There's a trash container beside an elm tree. He dropped the diary in and walked back to his car. Behind him, the little girl picked up the money from the bench and began to run in the direction of the painted horses on the painted truck.